Amen. You must show resolve. I'll use the testimony of the children of Israel lived in Egypt. No, they were not meant to live as slaves in Egypt, but God saw, God knows the future. He knows the beginning, the end of everything from the beginning. So he told Abraham that your seeds, your children, your children will go to the land of Egypt. They will be there for certain years. God already told that to Abraham before he died. So Abraham was already aware. But the purpose was not for them to serve the Egyptians, but to live as neighbors alongside the Egyptians. But you know what happened? The Egyptians said, look, these people are waxing strong. They are looking like a great army before us. And peradventure, if we have enemy attack, they won't join the enemies to fight against us. And they said to themselves, come, let's deal with them wisely. Deal with them to make sure that they don't increase in number. Meaning that dealing with them wisely is subtly they made them become slaves. Initially, Israel was doing all those labors and they were receiving money from the Egyptians. They were helping the Egyptians to raise their cattle because they are cattle rearers. They were helping them to do menial work, but the Egyptians were paying them. And after a while, they stopped paying them. They turned them completely to slaves without wages, using them without payment, using them as they like without payment. They said to themselves, come, let's deal with them wisely. So the enemy knows how to deal with people wisely. He will make sure that he will put things that is God has not put in you into you, and that thing is operating and working in you, so that you don't come into your destiny. Can a slave come into destiny? No, I'm asking you, can a slave, somebody who is a slave, not a servant, because a servant can receive payment. Somebody can go and serve somebody. At the end of the day, he gets paid or she gets paid. But somebody who is a slave means somebody who was captured from war, brought from war. But there was no war between Egypt and Israel. They only came via the invitation of Joseph and obviously the Egyptians at that time. But those generations died. And there was a generation that did not know Joseph or know what God used Joseph to do for the Egyptian nation. And those people stood up and said, look, let's deal with them wisely. Let's subdue them. Let's turn them into our slaves so that they become of nothing. Because a slave does not have a future. A slave does not have a future, does not have any destiny he or she wants to come into. And that is what the enemy in this generation has made a lot of people slaves. Because if an entity in you is the one controlling your mind,